Thanks a lot, Rich. One of the things that we're going to be talking about today is surveys, and 2 weeks ago we did one on service level management where we touched on surveys at the end of it. Really excited about this presentation. So good morning, everyone. I'd like to start out, as I always do, talking about the goals of these sessions. And the goal of the Friday sessions is really to dive into one business issue, quickly demonstrate how Autotask can address it. They're fast-paced, 30 minutes. There's the recording available for later review, and questions will be answered at the end of 30 minutes if you want to stay on. And we're really going to focus on demonstrating the product, but we have a few intro slides that we'd like to present. So in today's session, I'm going to start out by discussing some of today's, what we have is for today's business issue, and what are the top 5 benefits of surveys. Next, what we're going to do is have a brief discussion of where to start and what you should consider when you're building out your first surveys. And then we're going to go right into the demo. We're going to go through the setting up of a survey and using it. Then we're going to talk about the automation for both sending and receiving back alerts. And then we're going to talk about reporting options, scoring, benchmarking. And then if we have time, I have a couple of client responses regarding ROI that they've seen using the survey functionality. So, and that's 30 minutes. So what we're going to start out with is the business issue, and we're going to talk about, really it's about client retention, not really about surveys themselves. And we often ask, have you ever lost a client you didn't know you were having, that there was you didn't know that you were at risk to losing until they canceled, and it was too late to basically save them? Well, today's session will discuss how you can be alerted to problems early on before things really blow up, and how a solution like Autotask can help through the use of its integrated survey capability. So, why are customer surveys important, and what are some of the top benefits? Well, regularly monitoring customer satisfaction levels and reacting accordingly will help elevate your client loyalty and maximize retention. And that's really kind of the beginning of it. And first of all, in terms of the 5 important benefits, demonstrating to your customer that you have a commitment to them. Even if your customers and prospects never respond to your surveys, simply asking them their opinion will win you points and earn their respect. So just sending out the survey is important. Next, one of the things is that surveys gives your unhappy customers an effective outlet to vent any negative or positive feeling that they're harboring. They may not tell you or call you, but you get that feedback because they can respond to a survey. And you gain key data that helps you correct a bad situation, but also surveys allow you to actually recognize good things too, and recognize employees that are providing excellent service. So that's the next thing. Third, what I'd probably say is that by linking your surveys to individual activities and collecting data over time, you get a solid insight into the performance of staff that are interacting with your clients. Because one of the things we do is, and you'll see, is that we actually collect the surveys and we tie it back to the individual, so you can see the trend for an individual resource as well. Fourth, a satisfaction survey can give you a complete picture of the overall service delivery, not just the issues that are requiring your fast response. So, one of the things is that rather than having a fire, you're looking at everything overall about service quality. And this is basically kind of a critical component to a continual service improvement process. You really want to know what areas are usually having the problem and address those. And then finally, surveys allow you to pinpoint the most important issues, and you can refocus your staff on some of those as deemed what's important by your customers, not what's deemed internally. So based on feedback, your customers are telling you what's important, and you can reallocate if you need to for those. So that's really kind of the top 5 benefits. Really as you start out, and Autotask really kind of like kickstarts the process, because we give you some predefined surveys already. But really when you start out, what you want to do is identify what are your business goals, what are you trying to find out, and invest a little time up front to kind of create what is going to be kind of the standardized questions that you want to ask. Again, I'll show you the standard questions we already provide for you out of the box that you may just want to use. And then what you want to do is you want to also think about, what you need to know in order to react to any negative issue. What level of a response would dictate that you would want to be alerted to it. So those are kind of where you start out. And But even with a standardized survey system, you want to tailor the survey so there are some target questions based on delivery method or issue type. So you might have certain surveys that go out if you did on-site work versus whether or not it was all remote. Or you might have certain issues based on the type of issue type, and you actually can tailor the questions so the questions are asked, based on what was done. If we have a ticket regarding a sales presentation in terms of a sales process, the survey might be very different than when it's an on-site engagement, that kind of thing. So those are very helpful. And then now we're going to go right into the product. And what I'm going to be showing you is designing basically the email and the survey, and taking a look at this. This is here is an example of a survey that includes, as you can kind of see at the top, it's going to have a custom header. It's going to have a series of questions that can include multiple choice, 1 to 5 ratings, text fields. It has a custom footer at the bottom. And we'll also show you how you design the notification template to deliver on that message. So I'm going to go over into Autotask, and we'll take a look at surveys now. Share my desktop. And we will go over to my system. And the place to start is really to go over into surveys. And in the admin section, so if I clicked on admin, the admin section has a section for surveys. And there's two things. There's the physical survey itself, and then there's the email message that you want to be sent out that's associated with the survey. And I'm going to start out with surveys. And one of the things I'm going to do is simply just start out by creating a new survey, have you take a look at it, and then I'm going to edit one that I've built with some customization I've already put into it. But when you say building out your first survey, it's going to ask you for the name, and I'll just say Friday test, and I'll say, how did we do? And one of the things that it also asks you is, it asks you for kind of which email template you want to use. I'll be showing that in a second. There's some survey email templates that are standard, but you can also modify it. So I'm just going to choose kind of the standard survey template. You'll also be asked, like, if someone doesn't respond, do you want to send them a follow-up or not? So do you want to just send them one or a follow-up? And then next what you're going to do is come into an area where you're going to say, what are the questions that you want to ask them? This is where Autotask, I kind of said, gives you a kickstart, is that we actually have a series of standard benchmark questions that you can choose from. And the best part of this is that we also allow you to report and compare how your results compare to other people that are using the benchmark questions if you choose to participate. And it's all anonymous. No one knows who actually responded, but it gives you a good feel for everyone asking some of the standard questions. So we actually came up with a standard series of questions for service call benchmarking and IT support. So is it on-site or was it remote? If I just said remote and I said okay, one of the things you'll see is it's going to pre-format in a bunch of questions. Things like how would you rate the timeliness? How would you rate the timeliness of the resolution versus the initial response? What was your overall satisfaction in terms of it? These are all a series of 1 to 5 questions that you can choose to use in terms of a benchmark. And I think that these questions are probably a good start for it. What I'm going to do now, though, is I'm going to go over and show you a survey that I added some additional questions to beyond that I think are kind of helpful. And what I'm just going to do is edit this how did we do? And we see is that, again, it's using the only thing is once you save it, I'll also note is that you get a survey link that if you wanted to hard code into manual emails that you're sending, you could do that. But the questions, I have the standard series of questions, but I added a couple of more. And I said, was it easy to submit your request? Nice question up front, multiple choice. Example, I just said yes, no, maybe. So you can kind of have those kind of questions. I threw in a question, would you like to hear about our managed service offerings? always a chance when you're asking their feedback to get a marketing question out there of saying, would you like to hear more about managed service? Maybe this is a customer who's doing